Bad day. Give up. Go home and sleep. Fuck it. Try again tomorrow. Not every bad day can become a good day. Some days are fucked and cannot be unfucked. When you have a day that is fucked beyond repair, that is the universe speaking to you, sending you a message. Listen to the universe. Go home. Save your energy. Tomorrow is another day. For now, just fucking chill.
The Ironman World Championships leaving the islands, at least partially, announcing the race will be split into 2 locations next year. Sam Spangler with details in the story tonight, new at 9.
Grueling, but romantic. The Ironman's marriage with the west side of the Big Island began back in 1981.
So I've been an Ironman athlete for 25 years, and Kona has always been the thing. Like, just like you're right. I mean, like we see it on NBC Productions, every year, and it for so many people it's a dream. And for a long time, I could almost say that like Kona owned me as an athlete.
But there's now partial custody of the event. Starting next year, the men's race will be in a different location, while the women's will be in Kona. The races will flip in 2024. It's news that hit many competitors and coaches hard.
And I just brought something over here that kind of make me a little bit sad. You know, I brought my first plaque I did, 1989. And I came to Hawaii to do this race because of the Ironman, because the image I saw.
The Big Island community's concerns were evident this year as 2 races were held over 2 days. Boyd County Mayor Mitch Ross saying that he's pleased it will return in 2023, but more than 1 race day during Ironman week is too many for the community to manage.
And it was a lot for the community over there to take in. And, with traffic disruptions and road closures and police being rerouted to, take care of this event. Like it's a really big disruption for the community.
That raises concerns that after 2024, the Ironman World Championship could leave entirely.
And I think they are walking on a very thin line. And I don't know if they realize what impact we'll have in the future.
The women's race is slated for October 14th next year, with the side of the men's race to be announced in January. We reached out to Ironman officials this afternoon, but haven't heard back yet. Sam Spangler, KHON2 News, working for Hawaii.
Alrighty guys, a very warm welcome to the video. Some very big news coming out of the triathlon world, or the Ironman world specifically. Kona will no longer be in Kona. Well, at least for the professional men. So what I love, can we just first appreciate Jan Frodeno'S post and his reaction to the news. Very quick onto it. Absolutely very clear that he's not impressed whatsoever. We then had the follow-on story from the local Hawaiian news talking about some reasons behind, their decision. Some of the locals not too happy about having the event over 2 days, which was something that only took place this year. And, obviously these things cause disruption, and I understand that. However, I think that this is very... Well, one thing, it's unexpected and it's taken a lot of people by surprise. But 2, let's also just appreciate the fact that even in the professional field, we can see so much, banter on social media, but also just this kind of lack of giving a shit, really, with these professional athletes. Jan Frodeno is considered by many and really is the absolute GOAT of long course triathlon. Obviously, that'll change in time when these new up-and-coming guys come through. But, currently standing, this guy's won it a bunch of times, and he was planning to go back in 2023 after his Achilles or some other injuries after a bike crash as well, kind of set him out of 2022 or this year. However, this reaction is very funny, but we know that behind the humor is a obvious real sadness, and he will be very upset. And this article from Try247 goes into that in detail. But another thing you can have a look at is the comment on Ironman's Instagram by Cam Wurf saying that if he was a single man, he would definitely know where he's going, which would be Kona. He'd know that he'd be going to Kona on the weekend that the females are racing, because some pretty decent ratios, Cam thinks, for that one. So what's happening, essentially, Ironman's come out and said that for 2023, the upcoming Ironman World Championships, the men will not be racing in Kona. However, the women will be. The men's race is officially, as it stands, undecided. There are some strong rumors it's going to be in Nice sometime in September, so before October, which the professional women will be running their race. And then in 2024, the men will be in Kona and the women will be somewhere else. So, look, from the outset, I think that in general, the idea of switching up world championships makes sense. You know, if we look at many other sports, obviously the world championships aren't always in one location. They're around the globe. Different nations will hold a world championship event, and it keeps it kind of interesting and variation and variety. I think it's strange that you're going to have the men and women competing in two different countries entirely, or locations at least entirely. If it's in the States, of course, it'll be in the same country, but nowhere near it on the globe. But Kona really is, and this is, to me, you know, it's something special. And the history, if you look back at the history of the event, this is the birthplace of Ironman. And I think that having the Ironman World Championships always been held in Kona, to kind of break that tradition voluntarily, you know, if everything was going well, to me, it kind of seems like, look, if everything was going well for Ironman from a financial perspective, from the engagement that they're looking at, we know that they had it over 2 days this year, so that more people could compete. And what happens when more people can compete? Well, they're going to generate more revenue, aren't they? Obviously, they've got all the road closures, they've got costs involved, but a lot of these people out on the course, they're volunteers and they're not getting paid anything. So there's big money to be had by allowing more age groupers to compete, which I think is great, more opportunity. However, you know, is this a decision for the purity of the sport, or is it a financial decision? I'm sure that there's many things at play, but I always question, you know, why change something that is so iconic and that people love? And I haven't seen any of the pros come out and say, we're stoked about this decision. Alistair has kind of come out with the opinion that, look, I think it could be good for the sport, having variation. But obviously, you know, how has Alistair gone in Kona? The last couple of times he's tried it, not so flash. So, you know, it's a tough one. And I think that, to me, it's really, really disappointing, because whilst we want variety and whilst we want to keep the sport relevant, taking it from its home place only for one of the field, you know, only for the men, pretty tough. And, you know, what if you and your partner qualified for the Ironman World Championships? You've got to go to Nice. She's got to go to Kona. Like, it makes things very complicated, and it will put a spanner in the works for a lot of people. But nonetheless, funny reaction from Jan Frodeno. And here's the article here from Try 247. I'm going back to bed, says Jan Frodeno as he reacts to this news of the 2023 Kona. So, confirmation that the Ironman World Championship will be split across two venues from 2023 onwards is sure to draw a ton of questions and no doubt some criticism. Amateur or professional, qualified or not, media, sponsors, family, and every possible stakeholder will be impacted by the news, which was officially announced by Ironman at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard, 8 a.m., whatever, on Wednesday. You can place the three-time Kona King, Jan Frodeno, considered by some the greatest long course triathlete ever. Very high on that list. So, Frodeno not amused. It is fair to say that Frodeno will hate this decision, or the decision, having frequently stated that Kona is the sport's spiritual home and a venue he considers to be the pinnacle of all long course triathlon, or triathletes, my bad. There's a quote taken out of the article. We ain't playing Wimbledon down in Sussex. More than a year ago now, when there were still question marks as to whether the event could be able to be held in Hawaii in 2022, post-pandemic, he told Bob Babbitt, I'm honestly not a religious man, but I'm praying that it goes ahead. October, Kona, that would be my dream. So obviously all of this came about as we had the 2021 World Championships actually held earlier in 2022. Because of the whole pandemic and the different regulations, Kona wasn't an available location to have the event or to host the event. So it was in St. George, Utah. But then fortunately it was back in Kona. Not saying that St. George was a bad venue, but I just think that for the, you know, purity of the sport, it was back in its home place, and it was great to see. So we'll continue on here. If I had one wish left in the sport, it would be being in Kona in October and having one more race in peak shape and actually having all the boys there and just having a real rumble in the jungle. To ram home his point, he famously added, "We ain't playing Wimbledon down in Sussex." So this was based on 2022. We know he couldn't race that nonetheless. However, based on his injury, it was kind of assumed that he'd be coming back in 2023 as a kind of last attempt at Kona. But obviously now that's no longer a possibility. The Ironman World Championships did indeed make it back to Kona in October 2022, but Frodeno's hopes of a fourth victory were scuppered by an injury. A bike crash was the final nail after he had earlier been impacted by an Achilles injury, and he was unable to line up. Now age 41, getting on there. Time is running out for Frodeno to make one last victorious trip to Hawaii, with 2023 now out of the question too. A co-host venue, rumored to be Nice, France, is instead set to stage the men's race. And here's Frodeno, one of his Ironman victories in Kona. One more year or not anymore. So it was clear as late as last month that Frodeno was still leaning towards another bid in Kona in 2023. When again interviewed by Bob Babbitt, he stated that one more year was his aim. But what does Wednesday's Bombshell announcement do to that desire? Against that background, his Instagram story on Tuesday, which you guys saw at the start of this video, after seeing the initial rumors circulating online, made his feelings pretty clear. So obviously very disappointed and, not at all stoked about this decision. I think that in general, different pros will have different opinions. Age groupers will have different opinions. Everyone's going to be one side or the other or somewhere in the middle. But I think that there will be a lot of people, a lot of professionals, and a lot of the purists in the sport that are going to be very disappointed. And, even Kristian Blummenfelt came out and said, well, yeah, look, I won the World Championships in 2021, which was early 22 because of the delays. But it wasn't Kona, was it? So that Kona's really held on this pedestal, and for very good reasons. It was the birthplace. It was where the official, the first ever Ironman was ran. It makes sense that it's a World Championships and it's very iconic. But I see the issue. I just hope that, it's not purely a financial thing from Ironman, and it is for the better of the sport. But, we can only speculate, and I'm cynical in that regard, unfortunately. But that's just my opinion. Everyone can have their own opinion. Like anything political or decision making, what's the quote? I entirely disagree with your opinion, but I will fight to the death for your right to hold it. So there we go, guys. What do you think? Let me know below in the comments of what do you think about this decision? Is it the right move? Is it the wrong move? Give me some reasons why. Will it put off some of the men qualifying or aiming to qualify in 2023? Obviously, the women will still be there. And then in 2024, the women won't be there. So how does that impact you guys? What do you think? Leave a comment below. Appreciate all the support, and I will see you all in the next video.